already working.
Let me go around the horn here now with Javier Becerra, Bob Woodward, and Peggy Noonan. Bob Woodward, you're no stranger to these kinds of controversies in Washington. How has the administration handled this past week?
Well, first of all, I mean, the people are making comparisons to Watergate. This is not Watergate, but there are some people in the administration who have acted as if they want to be Nixonian, and that's a very big problem. I think. Who
and how?
Pardon? Well, I think on the whole Benghazi thing, you look at those talking points, and I mean, the initial draft by the CIA very explicitly said, we know that activists who have ties to Al-Qaeda were involved in the attack. And then you see what comes out a couple of days later, and there is no reference to this. This is a business where you have to tell the truth, and that did not happen here.
Peggy Noonan, you wrote something this week that really struck me in your column on Friday, and I want to put it up on the screen and ask you about it. We are in the midst, you write, of the worst Washington scandal since Watergate. The reputation of the Obama White House has among conservatives gone from sketchy to sinister, and among liberals from unsatisfying to dangerous. No one likes what they're seeing, the IRS and AP scandals have left the administration's credibility deeply, probably irretrievably damaged. They don't look jerky now, they look dirty. The patina of high-mindedness the president enjoyed is gone. I have to say, Peggy, what you don't talk about here is an administration for a man that you worked for, who led the Iran-Contra scandal where they ran a secret war and lied to Congress and all the rest. Overstatement here?
I don't think so. I think this is what is going on now, is all three of these scandals makes a cluster that implies some very bad things about the forthcomingness of the administration and about its ability to, at certain dramatic points, do the right thing. And I've got to tell you, everyone can argue about which of these things is most upsetting, but this IRS thing is something I've never seen in my lifetime. It is the revenue-gathering arm of the U.S. government going after political...
Richard Nixon specifically directed people to investigate, to audit people. I mean, of course we've seen it in our lifetime.
But this is so broad. This is extremely broad and very abusive to normal U.S. citizens just looking for their rights.
No questions about the egregiousness of it.
If it doesn't stop now, it will never stop. And the only way it can stop is if, frankly, a price is paid. If people come forward and they have to tell who did it, why they did it, when it started.
Becerra, I'm struck that Peggy seems to be more critical than Senator McConnell was this program, who clearly did not want to use comparisons to Watergate, Nixon, and the like.
Look, the president said it was inexcusable what happened at the IRS. Serious mistakes were made. It was wrong, and we have to make sure it never happens again. The president has already said, I'm cleaning up shop. 2 of the top IRS officials are gone. So there's no disagreement. Bipartisanly, I think we can all say, this cannot happen again in one of the agencies that we must have trust in. But as we investigate, are we in search of answers? Are we in search of scandals? There's a different thing to say that what happened in Cincinnati with the IRS goes all the way to the White House. There is no evidence. In fact, the Inspector General, who looked into this at the IRS, said there was no political motivation involved. And quite honestly, I agree with the young Senator McConnell. The reason we have this problem is because we have a tax code that allows groups to use their political operations within the tax code under the guise as a charity to use undisclosed millions of dollars to do political campaigns.
I think he would resent that remark, the young McConnell, even if he agreed with you. There's some news this morning, new this Sunday morning, a new CNN poll that has the president's approval ratings in pretty good territory, but also a view that there is not an overreaction by the GOP, whether on the IRS or on Benghazi, and a view that whether it's the IRS, Benghazi, or the AP, a majority saying that these are very important issues for the country. So as a matter of how much, Congressman, this infects the rest of the president's agenda, what do you see?
Well, I think that obviously this may increase the need for tax reform because the complexity of the code is such that it's a problem. But let me just, an answer to what Javier said. There's nothing in the code or nothing in any Supreme Court decision that says the IRS should target Americans for their political beliefs.
Agreed.
We still don't know who directed this, and we're trying to move forward in a bipartisan way to find out answers. But again, for 2 years, we've been seeking answers and didn't get them.
You know, on this point, can I just say on this point, Bob, I think it is interesting that we take a look at how bureaucracies operate. Do they take cues from the president? Again, I bring up this Abu Ghraib example because that was really hammered home, that Abu Ghraib happened because there was a broader context in the administration. Do you think that's a fair criticism here?
Well, I think you have to kind of step back and say, what's the theory of governing here? And the theory is, it seems, there are investigations of the IRS, so we can't interfere. There is this leak investigation of the AP, so we can't get involved. There is an investigation of Benghazi, so we're not responsible. The president and the executive branch need to govern on a daily basis, and you can't purchase immunity from governing.
But you can't conflate all those things, Bob. Come on.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. You can't say that it's okay for the president to tell the attorney general in a criminal matter, what are you doing?
No, but there is a policy issue here. Do you issue this broad-based subpoena on reporters?
Right, but the president can't interfere with that.
No, but you need to have a policy set down, and there is proper communication between the Attorney General and the White House counsel on matters like this.
Is he president or not? I mean, ultimately, these are executive agencies which are proving so deeply problematic.
But again, you cannot mean the Justice Department. You cannot mean the Justice Department.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, you can't have the President of the United States telling the Attorney General. Isn't that what Watergate was in part about? That there were directions of people to be fired? That we can't have that kind of political interference, right?
I'm not even sure what you mean.
You can't tell the Attorney General not to investigate something or to investigate something. That's the law.
Fine. And if you find out the Attorney General went too far and you are the President, can you say, I think he went too far, I think there are real problems here, we've got to look into it? That's not the thing. The IRS thing is really the thing.
And that's what the President did.
That involves
The President said it went too far.
Well, hundreds of people we know of.
The IRS acting commissioner is gone. The
But
President
how are
this
we going to
week
get to
took
the
action.
bottom of what
Oh, absolutely.
happened?
Let's get to the bottom of it.
But
Let's
how are we?
investigate the facts.
To prevent it from happening again,
Absolutely.
you need to know how it happened. And I think a lot of people are asking, who's watching the store? And is the level of managerial oversight so bad that it rises to the level of wrongdoing?
Right.
I think that's the issue.
And how do at this point, do you try to get to the bottom of who directed what happened at the IRS? Because it is a very important question.
Well, we do need an investigation, and there is going to be a continued investigation by the Inspector General, as well as Congress is going to continue to look at this and bring people forward and get their testimony.
But you agree with a special commission, like one of the president's former aides, Robert Gibbs, has suggested.
Investigate this to the
Why
very
not
bottom,
an independent
absolutely, at the
counsel?
IRS.
Why not an independent counsel? I watched the other day, I saw Mr. Miller, the soon-to-be former head of the IRS, look at Congress and be essentially unresponsive, somebody was responsible, I don't know the name, yes, maybe I can get the name for you.
Yeah.
That gives you a sense that maybe Congress can't get to the bottom of this. Maybe an independent counsel would be a better route.
But
that may
some
be the case.
institutions have a no-surprise rule, which is you need to make sure the person at the top, who is the president in this case, he is constitutionally responsible for the whole executive branch, to be told about things that are going on that are bad. And you can't kind of say, oh, that happened last year and they're investigating. You need to stop the bad things right away.
And the difficulty is this criticism of passivity, as you were all suggesting, and I'm challenging you with the other side of that argument, but the idea that he is still in charge of the government, has accountability, and has to project accountability, as we ask all presidents to do.
In the IRS case, it doesn't seem passive. I have to tell you, I think wonderful Kim Strassel, the Wall Street Journal, is correct. The president wasn't passive on that stuff. He was giving dog whistle sounds to people who could launch this thing.
Under this scenario, he's in a no-win situation for the American people. If he had gone into this faster, people would say, oh, he's intruding into a separate investigation.
All right, I got to take a break here. We're going to come back. We're going to continue.